And we're live. Hey guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to that 5%.
That 5%.
I am Blossom.
I'm UD on YT.
How was today's Friday? Wow.
Yep.
I've obviously talked to you all weekend. I mean, all week, but how was your week? I get the week and weekends mixed up. Like I know obviously what they are, but I'm like, I was about to ask you, how was your weekend? But it's Friday, it just started.
It's Friday. It's been good. I've been getting a lot of stuff done since I quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
Just remembering all the things that I had put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And now like my brain is free to actually function in life. So that's how it's been going for me.
Okay, that's cool. It's always like a good feeling to quit your job. I mean, like, you don't have to deal with it anymore, so that's always good. But
how's your week been?
week, right? How was your week? Because the weekend just
week.
started. See, no, it was fun. Or it was okay. I mean, it was stressful for like 2 days, but other than that, because like I work in the medical field, so it was stressful for 2 days. But other than that, things are all right, pretty much. So yeah.
Okay.
But
Good.
I learned that SWOOP came out with an interview today.
Yes.
With Emily Arful. Wow.
I saw that.
And I can't wait to watch that. Yeah, like I want to know, like, because SWOOP was teasing that Emily is spilling tea that she's never spilled before. So
okay.
I'm curious. I want to know what's up.
Yeah, that's cool that she secured that interview. I wonder,
right?
I wonder if maybe Emily like really likes SWOOP. So she's like, you know what? I'll do an interview with you.
I feel like, yeah, I know, but I feel like a lot of people like SWOOP, So.
Yeah, I think so. I think she has a lot of support from the community.
Let's watch this video. I didn't even look to see how long it was. Okay. Let me put it at 1.25 speed because I'm just curious on because I want to watch this whole thing. It is 1 hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do this.
What do you think has been the most shocking realization to you through this whole thing?
That video was just so angry. That shocked me.
Creepshow Art.
Creepshow Art. Shannon, Creepshow Art.
You know what? This is probably going to be those things where she's probably going to ask, like, when you first saw this video, like, what were you thinking at the time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to probably get some insight into that.
Creepshow Art, a.k.a. Shannon.
Stalking and harassing others online for over a decade.
Emily Arful posted a video.
Emily Arful came out with her own allegations against Creepshow Art.
How has life been since coming out with this publicly?
The first video was really hard. It made me throw up.
Creepshow Art, in response to the allegations.
A 2.5 hour long.
Holy shit, that must be Harley whatever.
Who?
That must be the Harley. That sounded just like him. The kid the 17-year-old that's with the commentary bros.
Oh, his name is Harley.
TBS or no, PBS is no, but that's not it. I don't know. Harley something.
Video.
She's focusing less on responding to Emily. She's focusing on going for Emily's throat.
I know people are angry at her, and I'm angry at her.
Creepshow Art suffered, as far as I understand it, the greatest percentage loss of subscribers of any cancellation ever. Did you know that?
With everything that you've been through, all of the allegations, do you see forgiveness at any point? Oh, hi there. Hello, hi. It's my face again. Swoop, 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 swoop. So as y'all know, I have been doing a 3-part series on the Emily Artful Creepshow Art situation that's been unfolding over the last several months, kind of coming to a head with Creepshow's New Year's Eve response video and Emily's response that was just posted. Now this doc is part 3 of the series where I am going.
I love her nails, by the way.
Oh.
It's really
Yeah.
vibing with her hair. Like, it's a whole vibe, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder if she goes to a studio or if this is in her home. I wonder. I'm sure she probably states it at. I mean, I'm sure she's probably, you know, talked about it. I don't watch like every single one of her videos, but her videos are bomb AF. I love them.
Yes,
I love them.
yeah.
And she edits her own videos too.
Oh.
Yeah, she edits
Yeah.
her whole entire videos, which is awesome.
Going to be sitting down one-on-one with Emily Artful for an interview about everything that has happened. I had a ton of heavy.
One more thing. Modest Hermit says it's hardly TBS. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just Googled or YouTubed him.
Oh,
Harley
okay.
TBS. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it sounded like him in that little intro because I've heard the voice. I'm like, oh my god, like I mean, there's nothing wrong with his voice, but the fact that he's 17, I was like, and he's with that crowd. All right,
I know.
It's weird, and it's like
he's gonna look back on that hanging out with these guys and just feel like really gross.
Yeah, and he thinks by saying, hey guys, I don't agree with what they're saying right now, just to let you know, it doesn't like exclude you, because if you really didn't disagree, you would not be like in that conversation at all. You'd be like, yeah, bye.
I think he's gonna cringe. I mean, I know I would if I was like 17 hanging out online with these older men and they're making asses of themselves and I'm having to apologize for them and stuff. And I think I've kind of experienced something like that before. Just look back on that time like, oh, ew. And feel really, I don't know. I would feel sad, gross. I don't know. I would cringe.
Ask questions, and many of her answers shocked me, honestly, and I think you will find this fascinating. If you aren't familiar with this story, I highly recommend that you watch part 1 and 2 of this series, as well as watching Emily's videos and Creepshow Art's response video to get a better understanding of like all of the pieces at play, because honey, whoo bitch, there's a lot, okay? Now, I do want to make this clear. Everything in this series and the interview are just allegations. Like, I cannot and will not claim the information here as facts, and if it sounds like I'm stating an allegation as a fact, I'm not. Okay, just want to make that clear. Allegedly.
Where do we hear that disclaimer from? They have the same disclaimers, by the way.
Right.
Awesome disclaimers too. You know, professional disclaimers. Like, so it completely covers you, though, right? It's like basically saying anything I say, just know it's not facts. Yeah, that's what everyone should basically say on every single YouTube disclaimer.
Right.
Sensitive topics like rape and syphilis, which I'll abbreviate as R-word and SA, as well as addiction and stalking. This is serious shit, so there will be serious moments, but child, listen, honey, okay, I will try and ease the tension occasionally, because y'all know we like to take things to Petty University a few times, okay? Okay, she got the uniform, Petty University, and y'all know Petty is my coping mechanism, okay? Professor Petty, stay ready. So let's do it, bitch. Real quick, we have an incredible sponsor, Fetch Rewards, who I am so stoked to partner with today. So let's jump into that and then strap in. What I want to do here is have an open conversation with Emily and have her expand upon details of her story she may not have shared to try to get a clearer picture of what has happened according to Emily. And beyond that, like, I want to take this conversation even further and talk about some of the most challenging aspects of this situation and the areas that most other commentary around this hasn't really dug into. And I want to see if through all of this, there's a solution to be found, or perhaps forgiveness, which I will ask Emily directly. So to start things off, given how sensitive most of this is, I first wanted to make sure that Emily knew she had an out if anything was too triggering. And then we jump straight in.
Hello. Hi. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing about you.
Okay, so I do want to thank you for sitting down and talking with me. If there's anything that is triggering or feels too sensitive or something that you're not comfortable talking about, please just let me know. I want you to be comfortable and know that you have, you don't have to feel obligated.
Yeah, no, of course.
So I just first want to ask, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
A lot better than I thought I probably should be feeling, I guess. I've kind of prepared for this day for years because I knew this information eventually was going to be leaked, and I was taunted with this for years. So I kind of always mentally and emotionally prepared myself. I've done work in therapy talking about if, all this ever came forward. And so I feel like if this were more out of nowhere, I think I would be in a much darker place. But I feel like so far I'm handling it pretty well. I think, better than I think I probably should be.
Well, and I don't even know that there is a should be. I mean, you feel how you feel, right? And it's valid in its moment. How has life been since coming out with this publicly?
The first video was really hard. I had to really lean upon my family and my husband to kind of take over. I had this discussion with my husband that if I came forward, our lives could never be the same. Like we could lose everything. After the first video came out, the first 5 days were very hard. It was a desperate smear campaign to get anyone on her side that she could, even if that meant including embarrassing and wholly irrelevant information.
I can't wait to see how, what she says her husband says, because I wonder if, honestly, real life here, if I, had a boyfriend, right? And I, did some horrible shit, and I'm like, hey, this could, I want to make this video, but this could change my life. The people around me is like, what? Why do you need to make a video about your life? What? How real life people just don't get it? Sometimes people just, so I want, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It could be with, I remember, I guess everyone around me doesn't really understand. My sister, I tried to explain Creepshow Art to her, and she just couldn't get even past the idea that someone would sit and make a whole 2-hour video. She couldn't get past it because she's just like, no, you just need to go to the police, blah, blah, blah. Why would you sit and make it? Because to her, it made it seem to the person who's not on YouTube, doesn't really watch YouTubers, any of that stuff. It just sounded fake and performative. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for those who get it, we get it, So,
yeah.
I'll read some comments. Modest. And hey, Modest. Hey, DD.
Throughout all of this, I wondered what was the catalyst that set everything in motion. Before you put out the very first video, what was the tipping point? Was there something that kind of pushed you over that edge, as it were?
Yes, absolutely. Initially, when the lolcow leaks came out, I didn't know about them until I think a few days later. She had felt untouchable until that moment.
Emily is referring to the now infamous lolcow leaks. I'm sure we're all familiar with it, which we will get into a little bit later.
Once I started to put the pieces together, I was hesitant to block her because if she ever noticed that, was worried that would then set her off, and then I'd get an exposed video or whatever. And then when I saw that her explanation for everything was Amy, and I read through her community post, too many pieces of the story about Amy lined up with what she had done to me.
Now, Emily mentioned that Shannon felt untouchable, but after the lolcow leaks, Emily was kind of like a whistleblower of sorts, calling attention to actual harmful, sometimes terrifying behavior that affected Emily's entire life. And listen, y'all know what I always say in a swoop doc, okay? Say it with me. It's not drama, it's dangerous. And stalking, harassment, assault are all prime examples of that.
So I believed for a moment, I don't believe this now, that she was going to try to flip it and pin that on me. Yeah, that was why I was like, nope, this isn't going to happen.
By coming forward, again, if you think of this as kind of like a chess game, Emily moved to the offense rather than waiting to have to defend herself from what she perceived was the impending threat.
I don't think I initially saw it as I'm taking my power back. I was more like, you don't get to do this. This is ridiculous. I was mad, afraid, because she was, again, untouchable, powerful, had powerful friends. I didn't know what she was going to try to do.
Is there anything indicating to you, or do you feel like...
What would you guys do? Or Udoka, what would you do too? You guys and Udoka, what would you do if you were being stalked like Emily Artful? When you think you have nowhere to go, because cyber stalking is actually illegal in all 50 states of the US. So
Oh, it's legal?
No, it's illegal.
Oh, okay.
I
was like, it's legal.
No, it's illegal. And so I'm sitting here what? What would you do? For me, I'm a crazy bitch. And so I would save up my money. I would get down to business. I would hire so many PIs. I would look at data broker sites. I would do the most.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be such a satisfaction when I get the fucking stalker. So I'm just like, what would you do? What would you guys do if you were in Emily's situation with this? Because she was scared and hesitant, like just to even have those emotions towards someone doing something to you online.
Yeah. And it's like somebody with a huge following. That's the part where I would feel so irritated. Like every time they upload and they get thousands of likes and all this stuff. And I'm like, this bitch is stalking me and needs to go to jail.
Right. And that's another thing. How frustrating must it have been for Shannon to get all these views? Because at the time she had like 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
How frustrating is it knowing that you know who your stalker is? And this bitch got more subscribers, and I should stop calling her a bitch, but this person has more subscribers than you do. Like, they're succeeding. They're thriving in the YouTube world.
Yeah, and apparently based off of copying your channel too.
Right. Like Creepshow Art. Shannon did... Shannon, the only reason why Shannon chose art is because of Emily. So Shannon was sitting there hiring an editor, hiring an art person. I mean, she was hiring all these people to do her YouTube channel. All she had to do was talk. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so scary. And it amazes me. This is going to be a Lifetime movie. This is going to be a Lifetime movie.
You know what? This is the kind of thing they would make a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, like at least Lifetime Movie Network, but I feel like they could do better. It's gonna be a Lifetime movie. Like, Mata says, what? No, she did not. Mata says that Creepshow had 900K at one time. Scary to think. I don't know. She didn't. I thought she had 500,000. I don't think she had 900K.
Yeah, I remember seeing 500,000.
Yeah, it was a 900K.
I know. Wow.
Yeah, and then Modest goes, don't quote me. Okay. She was so lazy, like you don't even have to be a good artist to draw something, screen record it, and put it on YouTube. Yeah, like, I mean, I suck for drawing, but... Press play. Okay, there we go.
Like Shannon might have known that it was coming.
Yeah, I think part of her did. When you do enough in the dark, you have to start thinking about what happens when it all comes to the light.
It's a great statement right there. Hold on. Wait. Did Emily just take us to Petty University? Somewhere, somehow, Emily got the whole grain, gluten-free audacity to say something like all eloquent and deep like that, and do it with the level of casual unbotheredness. Let me translate real quick, okay? I'm about to become Emily's petty translator.
When you do enough in the dark, you have to start thinking about what happens when it all comes to the light.
Translation. A bitch done got caught, okay? Come on, somebody.
I don't know what you came to do, but I came to...
Okay, class dismissed.
What's really upsetting is that Shannon just continues again and again to weaponize my mental health against me.
We now move into the specifics of Creepshow Art's video, starting with the very beginning, which literally starts off with, how do I say this? A f***ing lie, allegedly.
If you are seeing this video, it means one of two things have happened. Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and we reached a private settlement, which resulted in some form of retraction. Or two, I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side.
Grab your grad caps, because y'all know Professor Petty, stay ready, okay? I don't know what in the actual whole grain, lactose-free, Michael B. Jordan on a slice of sourdough bread kind of gall someone has to have to start their entire 2.5-hour diatribe with a very provable lie. Miss Liza Minnelli has entered the chat, and that bitch don't get out of bed for less than $100,000, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. No, I would not. No.
Now, Emily tweeted in response about this the day Shannon's video came out and gave me some more details in the interview. Has there been any legal action taken?
Not officially. At I want to say the beginning or middle of December, I received a PDF from her attorney. Their overall declaration was, if you do not remove these 3 videos, as well as every Twitter post you've ever made about Shannon in any capacity, we will sue you for defamation. And you have this deadline to respond. And I believe it was December 5th was the deadline. I consulted with, it's actually a family friend who is my attorney. He's not officially representing me. And he's like, you're both public figures. Defamation is going to be incredibly hard to prove.
Right.
Basically, we can just tell them to go kick rocks. Like, let's just do that.
And
Okay, we could just tell them to kick rocks.
And
bitch, if I had some pearls, I would clutch them right now.
I'm down. Yeah.
Can I get the number to your attorney, Emily? I need an attorney's like, well, just tell him to kick rocks, bitch. Okay. Unbothered.
And I said, look, I am perfectly willing to never say her name again, never mention her brand again. I just want to move on with my life. You know, he sent that to her lawyer, and then they basically said, that's not good enough. We don't want to go to court either, but that's not good enough. You know, fine. Then I wouldn't even bother with a response at that point.
So Creepshow's attorney essentially sent Emily a cease and desist letter. And I just want to clarify, because I don't think that is common knowledge. A cease and desist letter is not actually a legal document. It's nothing more than an unenforceable demand letter that's often sent by an attorney on someone else's behalf. And it would appear that this cease and desist came with a non-legal gag order demand, basically insisting that Emily not only scrub every utterance she's ever made of Creepshow, but to never publicly say why.
Yeah, Shannon knew that. I feel like, you know, Shannon's not stupid. And I don't know why she wouldn't have just edited that part out of the video. There are either one or two reasons, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't understand why she would keep it in. Or
well, her MO has been to just say things to make her look good or make Emily look bad and hope that nobody notices that something's off. That's what her MO has been this whole time.
Don't you feel like she's a little bit just a level smarter than that? It makes me think that there was something else that she thought was going to happen but didn't. You know? It just makes me think when she wrote it at the time, she knew this shit was going to happen. And then, you know, and I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why not just edit that out of the video? Because she already started it off, the whole entire video, with a lie. A long ass video. I will never forget. Oh my goodness, I would never forget. New Year's Eve. I bet you there's going to be some shit this year, 2022 New Year's Eve. Remember when I bet you every single New Year's Eve, Shannon's probably going to drop some shit like on dirt she knows. And, you know, like so-and-so I talked and they did this, and just posting all their shit. And everyone's just going to have to wait every single year for her to post some shit. I'm not trying to give her any ideas, though.
So I was essentially to remove every utterance, every video, without saying a thing, explaining why I did any of it. Obviously that would have put me in a very unfavorable position. I think a lot of people would then speculate, well, then is Emily rescinding her allegation? And
that's what Shannon wanted.
I
couldn't
definitely. Do any of that. I simply refused.
So Shannon, if you want to sue me, then sue me. Drag this drama on. Refuse to move on with your life.
I think most of us have heard at one time or another that defamation is difficult to prove, but most people don't know why. So let's start with a quick definition. Defamation is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel, which is written statements, and slander, spoken statements. In California, a plaintiff must prove 5 elements to establish a defamation claim: an intentional publication of a statement of fact that is false, that is unprivileged, that has a natural tendency to injure or which causes special damage, and the defendant's fault in publishing the statement amounted to at least negligence. Shannon would have to be able to prove that Emily was intentionally lying, and that Emily does not, in fact, believe that Shannon was stalking or harassing her, and that Emily also made her videos knowing for a fact that Shannon was not her stalker, which of course would be like literally impossible for Shannon to prove, because that's just not the case here.
My stalker is Shannon, better known as Creepshow Art.
The trickiest part for libel lies in the second portion, proving that the defamatory statement was intended with actual malice. A victim telling their story does not have malicious intent. It's merely telling their truth.
Within Shannon's video, she says, you know, every lawyer I've ever talked to says, I absolutely have a case. That's just not true. I've spoken to my family friend and also another lawyer and a friend, and they're like, no, you're both public figures. It would be incredibly difficult to.
I believe Emily, but I just want to say, I feel like lawyers will tell you anything. Like, you know, there's just to sign you on. like have you as a client, take your money. I mean, I completely 100% believe Emily here, but I'm just throwing it out here. Like a lawyer would be like, oh yeah, you know?
But her lawyer said no.
No, I mean, I don't mean like literally, yeah.
No, but I'm saying the lawyers she spoke to did not take her money. They said there's no case.
Right. But I wonder if the lawyer said there's no case, but I wonder, like, if she continues on with this, she would still need a lawyer.
But if the lawyer said that there's no case, then they're not taking her case. I mean, she would have to find a lawyer that would take the case.
Mm-hmm. But you still pay a lawyer for like consultation and stuff like that. But I get what you're saying.
On Emily's end, I don't think the lawyers are just saying whatever, because if they were saying whatever to get money, they would have encouraged her to pursue legal action, but they told her not to.
So are you saying that then lawyers just don't want to take your money? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Emily's lawyers, but whoever Creepshow is using, and based on that quote that Emily had in her video that helped me find who Creepshow's lawyers are, they do look like the type of law firm that will do and say whatever you need them to do and say, as long as you pay them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no shade to, that's the business, but
shade to Shannon's lawyers.
Yeah, no shade to that law firm, but like their whole thing is really like, did somebody say something bad about you on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, for those of you who have seen Breaking Bad, you know who I'm thinking of. Better Call Saul. He's his character in Breaking Bad. He's the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes these super cheesy commercials, and it's just like, the police were trying to put me in jail for 20 years just for a little bit of weed. Better call Saul. It's just like, I mean, that's how I imagine Creepshow Art's lawyers. Did somebody say something bad about you online?
But I could see Shannon selling her story. You know what I mean? Saying what she needs to say to the attorneys. I can see her also doing that as well. Yeah. But yeah, that site definitely looks like.
Well, when you go to the lawyer website, I don't know if they happen to be watching lawyers. To those online lawyers, I highly recommend you hire a new web designer. Take like real pictures of yourselves, not like Getty Images, whatever.
Wait, do you have the link to that? Like, you don't have to say it here because obviously people can like look up.
I took a screenshot recording of me checking out their website. I'll text it to you.
Okay. Because I guess it's like considered doxing in a way.
Yeah, but I don't want to, after, we tried to discover who Anna Oop was, I was like, people can find things if they really want to know.
Yeah. But Emily, she was like, I'm going to tell you who her lawyers are without telling you who her lawyers are.
Right. Like, you literally just type in the sentence, and they are the only website that comes up, so it's them.
Prove defamation, and all it would do is waste both of your time and money.
One would also have to take into account that Emily primed her entire video by saying her claims were alleged and that she can't technically say it's fact.
I have to say allegedly for Shannon. to protect myself legally. Please note that all of what is discussed within this video should only be interpreted as speculation.
And you know, the ironic thing is, Shannon, like from what I could tell, Shannon doesn't say the same in her video. Instead, she repeatedly makes claims as if they're facts.
This video is being made for posterity to show I didn't do what I was accused of, and to show that what Emily has accused me and my husband of not only never happened to her, but could not have happened. This cannot be possible. That cannot be true. We know that can't be true. Which again, could not have happened. Meaning she was never actually homeless. Either way, she lied about the IP address.
Does that piss you the F off? Like, how do you know this could have not happened? Were you you there living the life with her? Were you living her life? Or if you were, just to make you were a stalker. If you were, we would believe you if you were a stalker, right? I mean, like, if you were, just let us know, because it pisses me off. And she's like, so this could have not happened. What do you mean this could have not happened? Like, did I, like, if I went to the toilet right now, she'd be like, oh, this could have not happened. Like,
it couldn't have happened because Blossom was live streaming at that time. So, meaning logically, there's no way that she could have used the restroom at that time.
Yeah. No, it just could have not happened. And, Shannon, this is an embarrassment.
It was so annoying. Like, every time she said that, I was like, shut up.
I know. Just shut the fuck up. Like, how could you sit there and tell someone that you did not get dressed today? It could have not happened because I did not see her get dressed today. I did not see Emily Arful today, so she did not get dressed. It just could have not happened.
She changed her Facebook status and said that she has been sober for 3 years. So just not possible that she was. And she was dating Anthony. Okay. Not possible.
Anthony. Should we say that Anthony isn't real because he hasn't come forward with a statement?
I know, right? Anthony's fake. Anthony never existed.
Like,
he never existed. As how come we've never heard his voice? We've never seen him. So obviously, he just couldn't be real.
We didn't see your marriage license, Shannon. So that just could have not happened. You know what I mean? It just could have not happened. Like, I'm so I can't stand her.
Even though the entirety of the story is false, her entire story, meaning it is a lie.
And she doesn't preface that these statements are merely her opinion. And what's worse, the claims that she emphatically states as fact are often about Emily being allegedly R-worded.
That means Anthony could not have snuck in through her bedroom window in her father's home to assault her while she was high on heroin, the way she stated, seeing as she was never high in that house and didn't move back until she was 6 months into her sobriety. Her statement about how Anthony took advantage of her is a lie.
Here, Creepshow, Creep. Can I call you Creep? Here, come here, Creep. Here is a single statement of fact. When it comes to Emily's story about being R-worded, you were not there, and it's none of your fucking business. Like, allegedly. Heyo. I think with Shannon's last video, Emily is the one who has more of an actual case to make for defamation, even then it's still unlikely. But when you compare the two against the law, Emily is in a better position to take legal action. Allegedly. Okay, I'm done.
It might just mean that my lawyer was like, I like money, but not that much. And maybe Shannon's lawyer's like, I really like money. Let's waste a lot of time in court for money. That might also mean that.
Listen, I'm about to give Emily an honorary doctorate at Penn University. Okay, it's just class dismissed.
His handle online is Anthony Parker, and he me and he emotionally abused me and manipulated me when I was most vulnerable.
We have to talk about Anthony. Now, obviously, this is a sensitive subject, given the accusations of SA, and I had absolutely no interest in asking Emily to relive those details. If you're interested in that part of her story, I recommend you watch her just released response video.
This man, by his own admission, was sober and sound of mind, and he chose to have sex with me while I was intoxicated and not in the right frame of mind.
But I had some questions for Emily in regards to his involvement in the stalking, his silence, and forgiveness. Would you mind real quick if I shift for a moment to Anthony and the allegations against him?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Is that okay? Okay. And just stop me at any point if you need to. So Creepshow's 2.5-hour diatribe digs extensively into Emily's past, including her childhood, which is the reason why many people believe Creepshow's video not only didn't clear her name, but did the opposite and only further provided evidence, if you will, that she was actually Emily's stalker. Like, why would you have that much information on a 9-year-old Emily unless, a stalking be a happening, But even in his silence, we have to to remember that there's more players of this devious game than just Shannon alone. I'm talking, of course, about Anthony, Emily's ex, and the man she accused of R-wording her when she was high on H years ago. And even though Anthony is no longer in the public eye, there's still a sense that he's potentially a major player hiding in the shadows, as it were. Do you think that any of the script that Shannon wrote, the 91-page documents, do you think that she wrote it entirely? Do you think Anthony had a part in writing it?
I think it was mostly her and Anthony. So much of it was just so wrong. She misses huge gaps or like confuses one story with another person. She says a few times like, oh, we have interviews from these people, but doesn't give any evidence, doesn't post any proof.
Emily also stated that she sent Anthony's step-grandmother
Another thing, Shannon, you had interviews with these people, but you didn't show us, so that could have not happened. I'm gonna just say throughout this whole thing that could have not happened.
No, right. You say so and so witnessed it, but you give no testimony, nothing. So couldn't have happened.
Facebook message allegedly saying that she believed Anthony was harassing her at one point. We reached out to confirm this, and Anthony's step-grandmother says no such message was ever received.
It's so much filling in the blank. It's so much
that annoyed me so much. I was expecting back when I was watching Creepshow's video, and she said Anthony's grandma said no such message had been received. I was like, okay, show me where she said it. I was expecting like a text message, like, oh, I don't remember Emily, blah blah. But there was nothing. It was literally just that blank gray screen. I'm like, wait, you're just gonna say the grandma said so? You're just gonna play he said, she said? You have all these irrelevant receipts and screenshots, but for a he said, she said, you just gonna show a blank screen.
Yeah, it's every single time when she was saying how Emily essayed people, I forget what she said. Or SH'd people, sexually harassed people. But then she just went on to the next thing.
Right, yeah.
When we initially watched the video, we both said that, like, how are you going to say that? And then just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And every single time she would say something like, they actually the ones who did this. She either moved on to the next thing. Anytime she accused Emily of doing anything, she moved on to the next thing, or she put up irrelevant screenshots that didn't prove anything. She just stated. I'll never forget that first screenshot with the Facebook user and her. It was supposed to be of her and Anthony, and because Anthony got a tattoo, that meant that he could never date someone like Emily.
Oh my god!
Like I was like, what the fuck is this?
Straight edge.
I know, straight edge. I'm like, oh man. The video was like comical. It was proof that Shannon is a stalker.
Right.
Purpose. Not only that, but I reached out to some of these people that she kind of implies that she may have interviewed, and they're like, she never, who, what? Like they were just confused.
Oh, interesting.
One of the most egregious examples is she does a lot of, Emily claimed this in her original video without posting a clip of me actually claiming that.
Right.
Says that I had accused my ex-partner, someone who I'm actually close with still, of sex trafficking me.
In July, she started dating someone who appeared on her Instagram in a photo with her dogs. We will call this man Bob for the majority of this video.
Oh, by the way, Bob commented on our last video.
He commented and he told us that the thing on his wall is Boy Scout badges.
I was trying to figure out because someone said coins and he was like, no. But then he commented again. What did he say? Bob appreciated our commentary.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I was like, dang, you watched that whole thing?
I know. He did. Bob watched the whole thing. Let's see. Where are you at, Bob? Okay. Bob says, okay, so he explains that those were Boy Scout badges. And then he goes on to say, it was the least I could do. I'm grateful to still be friends with Emily, and it broke my heart to see Shannon try to take her down in such a self-destructive video. I'm just glad Emily can move on now. Thank you again for your support.
Aww.
How nice.
That's good.
If her story about being forced into camming is true, this would be the man who did it.
Which is not at all what I had said. I had said that I was forced to do camming by dominating
That
him,
made me
one
so mad
specific
when she
dominating
was saying
man. That's
that,
all I said.
implying that Bob is the one.
Yeah.
That made me so mad. Like Emily can only have 2 men in her life, her dad and her boyfriend. Those are the only 2 men that could possibly be in her life.
Well, because Emily did not show it in a Instagram post, a Facebook post, a YouTube video, it could have not happened, according to Shannon. So, and I will never, I'm going to use her arguments herself, because it's like, what was that saying? And it spoke so perfectly. How she's using Emily's videos to destroy her, but she's using the same information to go against her. Remember, you said it perfectly, and I forgot how it was worded, but she was using her same content to destroy her, but it's like you're believing her content, but then you say you don't believe her. You know what I'm saying? I forgot. You said it perfectly.
Yeah, she would use something Emily says to prove something happened, and then also use what Emily says to disprove. It's like she'll say, no, she's lying here, but you just told us how Emily said something. You just used that to prove something. So which is it? Is Emily lying? Or is she telling the truth? If you think she's lying, then you need to stop using what Emily says as proof.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah, you perfectly said it, because you said it the other day. That's what made sense here. You can't use the same thing she says to say that she's telling the truth, and the same thing she says when when you think she's telling a lie. That was So it's weird. I wonder if she ever thinks about that when she goes to bed at night. And some people, I was watching this video that was going ham on her. They were like, you need to go back to your car. I don't know if you want to sleep in your car. They were just going ham on her. I was like, oh, but it was so funny. But I was like, ooh.
She wrote up this timeline that, because I was with my ex-partner at the time, she must be accusing Bob.
Meaning the only ex-boyfriend who could have forced her into it is Bob, while they were living together with his mother in a 1-bedroom apartment.
And that is just the most egregious, I don't even know how, it's just drawing a wild conclusion out of nowhere, and then showing his face and showing his place of work. And then she posts a picture of him holding my oldest son is a newborn, feeding him.
However, seeing as she herself sees him and his mother as her children's surrogate uncle and grandmother, this is doubtful that this actually happened.
So that leaves the implication that I was either lying, or that look at how awful a mother she is. She's letting the sex trafficker feed her baby.
Oh, I didn't even
made
think
no
about
such
it
claim.
like that.
And that happens multiple times.
I actually never thought about it like that. But yeah, I'm sure Emily would. And yeah, that is strange that she would just put his face and say, this is the guy. So just in case anyone has come across that video and just sees Bob.
I know, right?
Aren't you that guy in that YouTube video?
Bob.
I mean, if you really want to say defamation, I think Bob here got a good one. You know what I mean? Bob's face is just plastered in all this. And poor Bob, the guy that has the Boy Scouts on his wall. Poor Bob. I just, you feel bad for Bob. Man, yeah, Emily and Bob have, in my opinion, have more of a defamation case than she does.
For real.
Throughout.
So Shannon claims Bob must have been the man Emily alluded to forcing her to do camming, which Emily and Bob have confirmed is not true. But let's pretend, just for teaching purposes here, that Bob was the man forcing Emily to do camming. Okay, so at university, roll the intro. By Shannon's logic, she says that since there's a photo of Bob holding Emily's newborn, and since Emily is smiling in a photo with Bob and his mother, Bob could not have abused Emily.
However, seeing as she herself sees him and his mother as her children's surrogate uncle and grandmother, this is doubtful that this actually happened.
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh my gosh, Becky, wouldn't it be weird if there was this thing where abuse victims continue to stay in relationships with their abuser because they're afraid or don't know how to get out? That would never happen. That's too weird, right, Becky? Becky, where are you? Rebecca?
Stop it.
Gee, you know, it's almost like there should be some kind of term for this psychological phenomenon where like an abuse victim might still be with her abuser. I don't know what that term could be though. I'm thinking cake, like cake batter, woman. Oh wait, battered woman syndrome. It does exist. Battered woman syndrome or battered person syndrome is a psychological condition that can develop when a person experiences abuse, usually at the hands of an intimate partner. People who find themselves in an abusive relationship often do not feel safe or happy. However, they may feel unable to leave for many reasons. You mean to tell me that a photo where people are smiling might not represent what's going on behind closed doors? No.
I know. I said the same thing, and not to like, I'm bringing up Gabby Hanna, okay? And I'm not saying, oh, I'm a Gabby Hanna stan, but I brought up the same thing, and people came for me when they were like, oh my gosh, Gabby Hanna was happy on Escape the Nightmare, or not Escape the Nightmare, that's what Gabby called it. It's because she called it that, and so now I have it in my head, but Gabby must have been happy on Escape the Night because there's a video that I think Joey Graceffa or Daniel Prada, one of them, they show, and she's like twirling around in a dress and she's smiling, walking up the steps, and she's
oh yeah, I think it was about like because she said the dress was uncomfortable and the jewelry made me itch.
And so and then so like I had said in my video, I was like, and I just want to say, guys, I'm not a Gabby Hanna stan, but just because she's sitting there smiling, walking up, the steps in her dress, doing a twirl, that doesn't mean that she's happy. And people are like, no, but I stand by that. So I completely understand what Swoop is saying here too. It doesn't mean just because you're smiling. Honestly, I'm really, a little bit suspicious here, with the people who are always smiling in their Instagram. I'm always like, especially the couples that are always smiling. No, oh my gosh, the joint Facebook accounts, or I could have sworn I saw like a joint, maybe it's not a joint Instagram, but it's like they have both of them.
Yeah, it's like a page for both of them. Both of them.
Yeah. Anyways, my whole point is that just because people smile, I agree with Swoop with that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, none of my business. It's none of my business.
As someone who has past claims of being a victim advocate, Shannon, there seems to be a shit ton of victim blaming, shaming, invalidating, and misogyny. But, that ain't none of my business. Ain't none of my business. Ain't none of my business.
Some other things that were troubling about Shannon's video is that she decided to simply fill in the blanks of my life.
Now, at one point in Emily's videos about Creepshow, she talks about Anthony, who Creepshow is now believed to be married to, and Emily thinks that Anthony, who she also called Andrew in her video, was the one who possibly started the stalking, and he brought Shannon into it, whether willingly or through Shannon also being a potential victim. And I wanted to dig into this more.
Like, I really think Andrew just roped Shannon into this mean girl obsession with me, and Shannon kind of became the mastermind over time.
Do you still think that it started with Anthony first? Do you still feel that way?
I think it might have been something that they may have done it together. There may be no brainchild, or maybe Anthony wanted to taunt me. Shannon wanted to know where I lived and called my dad, and again, I'm no way to tell. I'm not in their relationship. I feel from what Shannon's sibling from what Loki has told me, it feels like Shannon has a tendency to get obsessed and to latch. And I feel like Anthony spun that and used that.
Now, whereas Andrew was more kind of threatening and domineering, Shannon was more catty and mean girl.
They're two different types of styles of harassment, but they're all in the same vein of very targeted, using specific things against me.
Right.
So I just think it's a wicked combination.
And then we came to perhaps one of the most troubling, almost alarming parts of this story. So throughout all this unfolding publicly online and the massive imprint that it has left on so many, literally millions of people have tuned in and are following this, one person has remained totally silent. And that's Anthony, the man who may have started all of this and who Emily claims allegedly R-worded her. How do you feel about Anthony's silence through all of this? People haven't heard from him. He hasn't come out and made any kind of statements or anything like that. How do you feel about that?
I think his silence speaks volumes. And I think we're better off not hearing from him. It just shows the world exactly, everything they need to see. It says all it needs to say. He doesn't need to say more.
It says all that it needs to say. honey, okay, listen, like, I know I'm supposed to be like all serious or whatever, but like, can a bitch just take a quick second and appreciate that mic drop moment? I just gotta say, Emily, like, I felt that. As someone who has been through, not your situation, but similar things, I felt that in my core. I really did. Now, Emily then digs into what she thinks Shannon's video really was. A hit piece, a heavily scripted character assassination.
Shannon's video was a hit piece.
Right.
It was, look at all the terrible stuff that Emily has done or hasn't done. Isn't she just awful? And not once does she even attempt to say, look, it's not me. I'm so sorry that you're stalked, Emily, but you can't just go accusing random people. This wasn't me. None of that occurred.
Like the basic thing.
Not that I can say people would react, but I think a lot of people, if that were them, they'd panic. They'd say it wasn't me. Look to prove that it wasn't them. Say, hey, I know you've been stalked. It wasn't me. Their first reaction would not be, let me dig through their entire past and try to assassinate them.
She's speaking the truth. You're right. Like when someone's first reaction wouldn't be, it wasn't me. So now like dig through things to when she was in 7th grade. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Shannon is so far gone that she didn't even realize that she would be telling on herself by posting this. Obviously. She's so far gone, so into and the whole hair dye thing, the orange and the black, like, come on. Who in their right mind is still believing that she wasn't stalking? Come on.
Almost felt like this video was her attempt at just trying to demolish any remaining privacy that you might have and just expose anything and everything and try to have power over you one last time. Was that how it felt to you?
I think that's what she was trying to do, just trying to throw anything at the screen to get people to take me down with her. But I told my husband this is the greatest birthday gift she could have ever given me because she has nothing now. She has nothing left.
Finally.
I've been open on my own YouTube channel about my addiction struggles, about being a pick-me girl. I was ready for this. And now that it's out there, it made me throw up when I first, saw it or whatever. And I never watched the whole thing through. I skimmed it and then I went straight to the Google Doc. But it was the greatest gift she could have ever given me because now there's nothing left for her to hold over my head. There are no recent examples of me being toxic or having, bad behaviors or being negative. She doesn't have anything left.
I just need to have a quick little moment because I'm like literally getting goosebumps. So I'm gonna like break from the seriousness for a second, if you don't mind. But
go ahead. Yeah.
When you said she has nothing left, that was such a powerful statement for you to make. She has no more power over you. I think that will make a lot of people happy. It sounds like you have a freedom.
Yeah, it makes me happy.
Yes. This is like, it's come full circle. The end of the chapter, I'm closing the book and it's done.
These stories, really these situations that I was in, have haunted my nightmares.
Now, it wouldn't be a swoop doc if I didn't address Emily's own history of harmful, problematic, offensive posts that she has made in the past. Over the years when Emily was younger, she posted things that were, in my opinion, fat-phobic, ableist, microaggressively racist, and in ways misogynistic. And people can interpret it how they want, but regardless of where my or someone else's support might lie for Emily in regards to the abuse that she's lived through, accountability doesn't take a backseat around here, okay? Like, a bitch still has questions. So I asked her about the post. I know that you have addressed it briefly, but is there anything additional you want to say in regards to that, since she did unearth all of these messages again? And has there been anything that you've learned from that time and those things that you were posting to now?
I've just cautioned people. There are screenshots of things that I said that were toxic. They were problematic. They were fat-phobic. They were just wholly offensive and inappropriate. And from my real accounts, I did say those things. I didn't care. I was so detached from empathy, honestly, from even thinking about the other person on the other side of the screen. Instead of addressing it with myself and having a powwow with myself, I was jealous of other people. I wanted to hurt people the way that I hurt inside.
Real quick, I just always think too that what Emily did here, which was very smart, is that when she came out with her first video, she stated everything. She was this, and this, right? She did all of this. She admitted to it. So if she didn't do that, we would have felt, I feel like, conflicted a little bit, if she didn't come out and say, I was this horrible person. She was like, I like to sum it up as like, okay, she was like basically a walking troll, but she admitted to that. So that's Shannon's fault too, because Shannon was already telling her whole entire video was really her telling us things that we already knew because she stated to being this horrible person. So that was good for Emily to really just come out and be really honest with the people who were watching the video, because Shannon had nothing to fall back on. Like, yeah, Shannon, you're not telling us something we didn't already know. She admitted it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we still feel sorry for her. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have that level of empathy. I wasn't able to tap into that level of empathy. I was too caught up in my own, me. And that's kind of where those comments come from.
If I wanted to cancel Emily, as they say I did, I would have just made a video of the screenshots of her taking photos of other women in public, making fun of their bodies, and posting them saying, that'll do, pig, that'll do. Or, that girl's pissed me off.
We often see with influencer culture in particular, the classic art of deflection when it comes to taking accountability for harmful behavior. Like, y'all know I have done a zillion docs and deep dives on this and even dissected the makings of terrible trash apologies, whether it be evoking a nasal drip, white color palettes to convey innocence, Instagram story apologies that don't get to the root and disappear in 24 hours, sitting on the floor to appear more relatable, or whatever the hell this was.
I've been silent for a very long time. I know that's very rare for me.
Whether it's the I was in a dark place defense, that I'm not that person, it was a different time then excuse, or just straight up disappearing for a while, hoping that everyone will forget. Now, these issues have far-reaching effects on our communities as a whole. And most of the time, if an influencer does apologize, it usually comes with like the broad, sweeping cliche statements of like, oh, I took some time away to reflect and I have learned and grown. Look at me in all my majesty, and now I am rising from the ashes.
And now, looking back, that was so stupid, because as I did more research on these topics and self-reflected, I fucked up.
With literally absolutely no details on what the hell that even means, right? Like, I don't know about you, but looking in the mirror all day does not count as reflecting. Okay, Susan, Steven, okay, y'all hoes keep trying it. I see you. So the question that I have come to in response to these apologies is, well, like, how? Like, how did you learn? What work did you do? How long? Like, what's your plan to make it right? Because taking 2 weeks or a month or a year off doesn't really mean shit if you didn't put in the work. That was the next question that I had for Emily. Was there something that you did over the course of time in learning or educating or understanding how and why those things that you were saying were hurtful and were harmful?
Well, I think what happened was those were things that were all said to me when I was younger, because I was overweight when I was younger. Shannon doubts that while showing pictures of me, at random points in my life. I was overweight for a considerable amount of time. Then I was very thin. And when I was thin, I was using a lot of drugs to obviously help also keep me thin. And it wasn't until I got off drugs and I started doing work in therapy that I was able to, and again, it's still coming from a selfish place, but it was able, I think just in general, humans, we have to see it, feel it for ourselves in order to gain that empathy. It was still me making those comments. I was not a different person. That was me, but my brain was somewhere else. I lacked empathy. But then when I started to do the work and I started working on, with someone with my eating disorder, a lot came to the surface. And one of those things was, these are some things that were told to you in high school that, yeah, you have big boobs, but you're fat, it doesn't count. Things like that.
Emily also references back to her former substance abuse and the effects that can.
Real quick, I want to say that how did Shannon think that, I wonder what was going through her mind when she thought it was a really great idea to start posting her weight. Why are we talking about weight? You're trying to say that this has nothing to do with really the argument here. She'd rather post up photos about Emily's weight here and weight there, as opposed to just, what about low cal? What about,
there's so many questions we had and she didn't want to answer them. I think she was talking about the weight. I was like, here's another way that Emily's lying. See, she never gained weight. She never lost weight.
Yeah, but
like all of these random accusations are like to try to make Emily sound like a liar.
When I say far off, though, so I get what you're saying, that she believed that she was trying to prove that Emily was lying, but that's what I mean by far off. That because she's a commentary. I mean, she was a lot of things, right? But commentary. So it's like, because she was so far off, it's like she couldn't even think, well, maybe let's play devil's advocate. What if it didn't work out? Like, what if people are going to think that I'm, the idea of just posting and talking about Emily's weight here and there. Like it's like she really truly was desperate, I think. I believe she was desperate. We all know this was, I believe Emily when she says this was a hit piece, but we all know that she was desperate for everyone else to hate Emily as much as she did. That's what that video was about. And it's so sad because you tell she's just, I can just never get, I'm about to reiterate myself here, but the whole first screenshot, that was a huge sign of what the whole video was going to be about when she posted up a screenshot that literally had nothing to do with the hell she was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super annoying.
And does have on the brain, which was also
anyone watching this video, please give it a like if you like it.
a factor in her life during the time of the post. And another thing she had to eventually confront.
I don't know if many people know this, but when you become clean off of things, specifically heroin and sometimes cocaine, it could take your brain sometimes 3 to 5 years to fully heal itself. And as
I had no idea.
Began to heal, I regained that sense of empathy.
Now, Emily talks often about empathy and the lack of it. And just so we have a quick understanding, empathy is central to what it means to be human. It is the rock upon which moral behavior is built and the crux of social organization, helping us navigate the conflicts between our needs and those of others. Through empathy, we are able to feel what another is feeling. And I thought this part was fascinating and not something that I've heard people discuss before. So I did a little bit of research and found some interesting things real quick. Empathy has been found to have a strong biological and neurological basis. It's been linked to the hormones oxytocin and serotonin, the part of the brain that fosters social emotions such as guilt, shame, and embarrassment. When substance use becomes part of the picture, however, it can block these biological and chemical processes, effectively disrupting empathy and even eliminating awareness of others' feelings. I think some people's first reaction when they hear someone say they lacked empathy or the ability to have it, like, I feel like people will respond like, okay, bitch, then get it back, like turn your empathy on, but it's not always that simple. So here's some reasons as to why addiction in particular can lead to a lack of empathy. As we focus more and more energy on our substance use, we miss basic social and emotional cues from others. We may exhibit less concern for social consequences caused by us or our behaviors related to substance abuse. So the pieces of what Emily is starting to say fall into place. And I'm not trying to put words into her mouth. This is just how I'm kind of interpreting it, that in addition to experiences she may have had when she was younger, her addiction also potentially fueled some of what was behind her posts.
I felt lots of shame around those comments, and I brought them forth in therapy myself because I knew they were wrong. I've scrutinized. I've done a lot to, figure out why was I so mean? And it just comes back to hurt people. And I just didn't care. There was not, there really wasn't that level of empathy there at all.
I appreciate you addressing that. We're seeing so many people be called out for things and they just completely avoid the why and where is it coming from? Why is this happening? And how do you learn from it? So I appreciate you opening up about that.
You try to paint me as lying about my addiction, about my homelessness, my own pain, using these small fragments of my past social media posts.
So let's shift a moment now to the blame game. This is the part where Creepshow tries to pin the stalker Dale on any random ass donkey and see what sticks. Wait, hold up a second. Isn't a donkey also called an ass? If I say random ass donkey, is that like saying random ass? Yes, these are the things that Swoop thinks about when she's alone. Send help.
On the Sugar Fruit channel, Emily ended up doing a couple of controversial things, like posting an anime review naked in a bathtub. The video of her in a bathtub caused a lot of anger in the community because the YouTube anime community is filled with mostly men who saw Emily doing that as a cheap way to get subscribers and attention.
Now, Creepshow does attempt at one point to blame the anime community for harassing Emily years ago over a review Emily did in a bathtub. And while Emily was trolled a bit, Creepshow tries to assert that the anime community must or could have been the one stalking Emily all these years and years later. Yeah, I know. Not even The Incredibles' mom could make that reach, bitch, okay? Do you think that there is any chance some of the harassment came from these other communities or trolls?
That was another example of Shannon kind of twisting my words. She said that I had never received harassment ever until I started working with Anthony, and that's just not what I said. I made it clear that I was posting on various social media accounts and that, I had received mild forms of trolling and harassment. These threatening, look what I have over you, look what I have, those were different. Because in the anime community, the worst hate that I received was, people calling me a slut. This targeted harassment was different. The instances of stalking that I'm talking about I don't think they came from that community at all.
Okay, now we get into the lolcow post, the anonymous forum that Creepshow was outed by the site's admin as having posted hundreds of nasty, hateful comments about other YouTubers, her own friends, and even herself. And it was like the whole community was just asking and almost demanding.
I will say on that last part, I think one of the criticisms in our video when we watched Shannon Creepshow Art's hit piece on Emily was that we did kind of find it suspicious that Emily didn't mention that about the whole anime thing. Like she never mentioned, and it's probably because she was
Emily
embarrassed.
never mentioned it.
Yeah, she never mentioned it in her video. So we did point out that that was just, kind of suspicious. I completely believe Emily, but it was kind of suspicious that she made this video and think to at least add that in there, since there were a lot of people who did make videos on her. I mean, it was fun. Like it was funny, but still.
I think it would have been important for us to know that the bathtub video was not like just some secret personal video that she made, but like something she posted that got a response. I think that was definitely relevant.
It was relevant. Yeah, it was. And I'm not saying I don't believe Emily. I'm just saying that I felt like it was purposely left out because she did not want to talk about it, which is fine. It just,
that Creepshow addressed these posts, and in her 2.5-hour response manifesto, here is what Shannon finally said about lolcow. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say? What was that? You don't say.
Confuse them with your silence.
No, really. Like she didn't say a damn thing. You're not inside her head, obviously, but I just wonder if you've had any thoughts as to why she was posting on lolcow.
I think there's a hateful seed in Shannon. I think there's a lot of anger, a lot of jealousy that she hasn't dealt with. Because I see a lot of this, I hate to say this, but I see a lot of how I was in her. I almost feel Shannon, I believe, created that channel as a way to kind of troll on me. Just all these coincidences, creating the same type of videos with the exact same names. And then Shannon experienced a lot of success, more even success than I'd ever experienced.
One thing that I saw consistently in my interview with Emily was the amount of empathy that she extended towards Shannon, even through the anger she felt. And that actually surprised me.
When I first suspected Andrew, I actually worried about you. Part of me wanted to reach out to make sure you were okay, but I wasn't sure what was real or what wasn't. I wish she would have done right by the people watching her and gotten help and realized that there was an angry seed or whatever internal issues there may be. I think instead it fostered the seed and it nurtured it and it made it grow. I know people are angry at her and I'm angry at her, but I think people also need to realize there's got to be a lot of hurt in a person to not just do the things she did to me, but do the things she did to her friends behind their backs, and do it so consistently for so long. And that's only one website. We don't know where else, this could have been coming from.
Right.
I want to live in peace. I can take the hate, but I can't take the fear of losing my job and not being able to support my kids or losing my kids.
Does anyone ever think, like, did anyone in Shannon's life watch YouTube, knows this drama? Because it's, what's even more scarier? What's scary is the fact that no one has come out that's like a friend of Shannon in her real life.
To defend her?
Yeah. Like, that's some scary shit. I feel like, yeah. Like, I know my family, they don't give two shits about YouTube. They could care less. My sister, there's no one. But if they saw that, I was in some shit like this and I didn't do this, I feel like my other sister would get on camera and speak, or I don't know. It just, the amount of friends that she made, it's so interesting. I just assume the amount of friends she made online would be not necessarily equivalent, but I just assume she would easily, make friends in real life.
People defending.
And you would have people say, no, Shannon's such a super nice girl. So it makes me, back to that two character theory, the person who she portrayed to be online is not the person who she really is in real life. Like, I just, because in real life, no one's defended her.
Yeah, nobody has defended her. Yeah,
not even her goddamn sister. Shit.
Yeah, even
Travis
not sister.
Scott. Sorry, her sister's non-binary. So it's her. I'm ruining
That's
it.
a sister.
The
Sibling.
sibling, yes, is non-binary. They and them. But still, even Shannon's sibling came out and said, basically, I believe Emily.
Yeah, basically not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone in Shannon's real life did actually come out. And when they did, it wasn't for Shannon, it was against
Yeah. Well, yeah, all the people who knew Shannon in real life were siding with Emily. So
Yup. That says a lot, actually. That says a lot about the person who Shannon is in real life.
yeah, because even Ellen DeGeneres had people come out and say she's great.
Right.
You know, y'all need to stop being mean. She's so nice to me. And then I heard about Kanye West defending Travis Scott. Did you hear about this?
Okay, but no one knows if Travis actually, only Travis knows, in my opinion, at the end of the day, if he actually saw what went down.
Yeah,
that's my
but
opinion.
the point is, somebody's defending Travis Scott. Somebody's defending him. That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the point.
Yeah, what happened was Billie Eilish was recorded, like she was giving a concert, and one of the fans needed an inhaler. So she was like, hold on, guys. You okay? You good? Okay, yeah, because, you know, over here we actually wait, you know, to make sure the fan is okay before we go on. And Kanye West was like, hey, that was the dig at my friend Travis. And he lost his spot at Coachella. So he's coming to Coachella with me. So I need you, Billie Eilish, to apologize to Travis Scott before I perform at Coachella. You need to apologize.
Really not apologizing?
She didn't even say his name. Get out of here. Nobody cares.
She didn't apologize.
My point is that, like, and Travis Scott hearted that, you know, he liked it. You know, it shows that he liked it. So my point is, damn, you know, at least there's one person in Travis Scott's corner. But for Creepshow Art,
no one.
No
one.
There's no one.
I mean, honestly, when you even think about it, you even have serial killers who get sent letters. You have, I don't know, maybe two, maybe this is also a possibility. People who know Shannon could also be afraid, since they know that the popular opinion isn't Shannon, and they don't want to get bullied either. That could be a possibility. I'm just trying to figure out why someone wouldn't come forward. The only person, Shannon's sibling, came forward and didn't have anything nice to say about Shannon.
Oh, to try to say Matrix guy. When y'all say Matrix guy, are you talking about that guy in the Halo outfit? Brandon. Is that who y'all are talking about? Brandon Bryan?
Oh.
I don't know if he was defending Creepshow Art. I thought he was just defending himself.
Right.
Yeah.
He was defending himself of, I didn't tell Shannon, you know, because he could have had me. I mean, the video was blue. It was scary. He didn't have. If you would have had, I don't know what type of, I would have thought this dude would have been near rainbows and sunshine and candy cane and lollipops when he was making his video. That video was scary. It didn't give me, I left that video feeling, oh, I can see why Emily was scared as fuck from this guy.
After I finished the video, I was like, yeah, you totally, I now actually believe her more. I believe you said that more.
I believe he said in a nice little calm voice that, you know, I'm gonna do. Did you know what I mean? I believe he said whatever. Like, that video didn't do him any justice. Like, what was up with the blue? Like, if you were trying to not come off as scary, someone, like, I don't know. That video. But Brandon, damn creep. Damned creep, because he said he was undiagnosed ASD, and creep made the argument that Emily Emily was rude to an autistic man. Oh, well, to me, it had nothing to do with him being autistic. I just...
Yeah. I feel like she just included that in there to just make it sound even so horrible. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like he watched it and he was like, yeah, I am autistic. Hell yeah, I am. And he made sure to put
like, he does. Shannon scares me. He scares me.
There was another part in Emily's first video where she shared DMs with Creepshow, where she asked if she was the one stalking her, and if so, could she send her a restraining order?
The restraining order will prevent Andrew and you by association of IP from contacting me.
This conversation is now known as the infamous blurred DMs, but I thought it was fascinating. You were sharing this conversation that you were having with her, where you were saying, like, look, I think this is you. Is this you? In regards to the stalking. People to say, I think it's you. Is it you? Can I serve you with a restraining order?
I said, look, if I'm wrong, please forgive me. I know I seem crazy, but it's been 8 years of harassment.
I'm curious about what your thought process was in that time when you were asking her these things.
I'd gone in and out of feeling safe, feeling unsafe. Are they done stalking me? Are they still stalking me? I mean, I expressed it. If you read the DMs, I'm like, I don't feel safe. I feel frightened. I've gone to all these measures to protect myself and my family. And it kind of just tipped me over the edge. I don't think I was like thinking. I think at that point it was more just an impulse thing that I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to explode. And I know we can't really say how someone would respond, but I think Spoctor Theory pointed it out. You'd be upset. You'd be upset if someone was accusing you and Shannon was almost not. The entire conversation felt like she was just trying to pacify me.
I gave her my legal information and told her exactly how to reach Anthony and I. And she hid those messages in her video to make it appear as if I was doing the opposite.
Also in the DMs about the restraining order, Shannon mentioned details about experiencing homelessness and asked Emily to keep this information private, to which Emily says,
and I said, no, I won't tell a soul, I promise. Then Shannon said, you're the only one who knows other than Annie.
And Emily makes good on that promise. She blurs out the information. But what does Shannon do? She creates the narrative that Emily blurred out these sections to intentionally make it look like Shannon was hiding something.
Right. Like, didn't we said like that Shannon asked her to not tell anyone. That's why she blurred it out.
Yes, girl. That's why I was like, did you just admit that this is you? Because she was like, since I was homeless, she didn't even need to blur the IP address. So I was like, so it's you. It was you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but what pissed me off with that was Shannon at the time told Emily to don't repeat it. Basically, don't, show anyone this. Don't. And so that's why Emily had blurted out. And now Shannon has a problem with that because she thinks Emily did it for her own agenda. And it didn't make any sense to me. Another thing, it just felt like, once again, Shannon was trying so hard to just make everyone have the same exact feelings that she has towards Emily. Because it's desperation.
Even though Shannon asked Emily to keep that information private.
Yep. She also knew I was homeless at the time because I told her as much in our direct messages that same day. She chose to blur these images out for some reason, as if they were incredibly sensitive and private, despite them being years out of date.
I mean, Creepshow literally states in her messages to Emily, and I quote, "We are still homeless. Please don't tell anyone."
And then I also blurred out two other things that when she shows the unblurred receipts, she asks me, please don't tell anyone, it's my private business. That's the kind of thinking that's backwards to me.
Why she chose to blur them makes no sense.
No, actually, making a big deal about someone keeping private the things you ask them to keep private is what makes no sense. So it was almost like, if anything, all she has exposed here is that you kept your promise.
Yeah.
Which then it was just like, okay, well, Emily keeps promises. Like, good to note.
Why would I want to expose things that are private and hurtful? Like, the thing that she shared with me is a difficult thing for a lot of people to go through. Like, my brain doesn't work that way. I think most people's brain doesn't work that way. It's unrelated. It wasn't necessary.
My first stint of sobriety started in September 2012, but over the course of the next few years afterwards, I would be an on and off user.
She was not addicted to cocaine at 14, like she said. She never abused drugs until after Anthony.
This part, yeah, it's so annoying. Like, you just want to take Shannon. Like, shut up. God. It's like she really just pisses me off. Like, you need help. You need serious help. Like, sorry. It's just, it annoys me. This could have not happened. This could have, because you were there.
Her dated and broke up.
Now, perhaps one of the most prominent and alarming themes of Creepshow's video was all of the instances where she dissected Emily's former drug addiction. And it was like all the chess pieces were being used simultaneously to attack and deny every claim that Emily ever made. Do you mind if I talk a little bit about the drug addiction?
No, go right on ahead.
Okay. We've seen her bring up your past history of drug addiction. I just wonder, does it feel like she's weaponizing that against you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels insanely hurtful and just also backwards and confusing, because in the letter that was sent to me at the end, there's like this thing about like, well, Anthony's sober and he has a zero tolerance policy. So that leads me.
No, I'm laughing because Modest Herman says she needs the whole psychiatric.
She
Yeah,
she needs.
It's really unhinged. She need to cut off internet. Yup, yeah. I don't know. It's funny. It shouldn't be funny, but it was funny. I was just like, she does. It's Lifetime movie.
Yeah, it's a Lifetime movie. I'm just
wonder if this
imagining
stuff-
the scenes, like all the dramatic scenes the Lifetime movie would have.
Yeah, I'm interested if something like this could progress. You know,
What do
I'm
you mean?
interested if she'd ever get to a point, because Emily says that they've been stalking her for 8+ years.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, would it just stay here at this medium, or would it progress maybe 10 years later? You know, I wonder what would happen if this didn't happen. Would, Shannon and Anthony end up moving closer, living across the street? You know what I mean? Like, would they consider just up and jumping their lives to have more fun with this game? I'm just so curious what would happen, because she's I won't call her the names I say when I'm not on camera. So
Me to believe that, Shannon is probably, at some
if you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
point has been an advocate for bringing awareness to addiction and addiction health. If she's with someone who's like that, it's backwards.
Emily was not abusing drugs as she stated, and this is known because Anthony himself has a history of past drug abuse before he met Emily and has a zero tolerance policy for that in his life.
So here's the conflict, right? With Anthony, a former addict, Shannon gives him 100% total credibility with anything that he says in regards to his sobriety date and who he hung around, and denying that he R-worded Emily. That Anthony should just be firmly believed without question, but Emily, also a former addict, gets no credibility and should not be believed when it comes to her sobriety, Anthony, but then should also be believed on everything else. Like, it just
it doesn't make sense. And like, girl, I understand that's your man. Stand beside him. That's your man, but that's not my man. That's not our man.
I know.
So you're gonna need to come with some evidence if you want us to stand beside him too, which she doesn't.
I know. And she did videos like this where she held people accountable. And look, I didn't watch her shit. I never watched her shit because I didn't know who the hell she was until she came up on the drama commentary channels as Creepshow Art. And I said, Creepshow who? Like, I didn't know who she was. A lot of people apparently did. But, according to her content, she was commentary and did this stuff on people. So it's maybe if she wasn't commentary and did, I don't know, movie reviews, I think a lot of us would think differently about the situation. But because she did this and was trying to hold people accountable, why wouldn't she look at her own husband and be like, hey, he was an addict too, so he could be fucking lying as well. And it's just so blindsided. It also makes me wonder, it makes me go down that avenue of Anthony could possibly be controlling her as well. We just don't know. Like, I just want Anthony to speak. I feel like people would pay to hear fucking Anthony Parker speak.
God.
Like, you know, he doesn't have to show his face, but he's smart, you know, because if I did this shit, I wouldn't be showing my face either, right? I mean, he's smart in a way. I mean, because his face would be plastered on every single YouTube thumbnail known to man if he actually came out and showed his face. So, still, I just think both of them are just.
But I feel like if he did come up and speak, there would be no value. It would be like just one of those moments where it would have been like, you know, it would have been better for you to just not say anything. That's how I feel about him.
Yeah.
It against someone and saying, look at how much of an unreliable narrator this person is, while also using it as a way to be like, well, see, they posted this, so this must be fact. Obviously, there's nuance to that question. It can't be, is this person always reliable or are they unreliable? But when you are posing a question like this, or trying to prove that something never happened, you can't use that same evidence and make it both ways.
It's essentially a trap, right? A chess maneuver, looking ahead and cornering Emily no matter how she responds. And what's worse, by using Emily's past history with substance abuse, she's simultaneously stigmatizing the disease of addiction, erasing the story of an R-word survivor, while further perpetuating the bullshit phenomenon of people not believing survivors by default, which is why so many don't come forward and so many abusers just remain free.
So it's awful that she's using it against me. It was such a tremendously difficult time in my life. She throws out things as if they are fact. She has no clue what a family, what a person goes through in active addiction, that she just glazes right over.
Yeah,
she
has no clue.
Weird. It just shows to me more and more that she knows very little about things like drug addiction and sex trafficking and how these things really happen.
Y'all, just let me make it clear. Weaponizing someone else's struggle with addiction and their journey of recovery is disgusting. We're talking about a very real disease, and though it can be hard on those suffering as well as those close to them, no one has the right to use it against you as a means of invalidating you as a person or the things you have survived, particularly if you've been abused. I just wondered if you have any words for people who are actively struggling.
Addiction isn't linear. It's not one day you march into rehab and you get sober and then everything's fine for the rest of your life. And I feel
definitely
like people
not.
On the outside always paint it that way. That why aren't
They
you?
do.
You said you were sober. Why aren't
They
you
really
sober yet?
do.
There's no.
Like, and I got this a lot when I was working with eating disorder, or whenever like somebody like Eugenia Cooney is talked about. I feel like people have this idea that if you have an issue, all you got to do is go to rehab and then you're fine. And that is absolutely not how it works. You are going to go to rehab over and over and over and over. And I know in the case of eating disorders, you're going to go to rehab at least 5 times most of the time.
Yeah, there was.
Go ahead.
I was going to make you finish what you were saying.
I was going to say, and it's very difficult. Like, it is so painful to go through rehab. So so sometimes people don't even want to go because they already know statistically that session, that bout of rehab is not going to cure them, and it's tough. It's really hard. It's very, very hard. So they don't even want to deal with it at all. So the whole discussion, the whole idea is so hard, and I feel like people just think you just go there and then you're fine. And and I feel like Creepshow Art, that video just shows she doesn't understand this issue like at all, like not even an imaginary understanding. Not even I watched TV shows where there was a drug addicted character, so like not even a cartoonish understanding of it. She has literally no comprehension of how this stuff works, and she just spews it and shows it unabashedly in that video.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very clear when she was saying she couldn't have been, sober here, or she was sober here. Yeah, like what I was saying, what I was gonna say was, just recently there was a patient that was in, she was like in like assisted facility because she broke her hip and she wasn't, but due to her being drunk, and she's an alcoholic, so she was basically in this place for like 3 or 4 months. I think it was 3 or 4 months, and then she came home sometime around last week, and then my colleague told me today that she's back there again because she OD'd. And it's like, you think someone and what they're saying, yeah, I'm gonna go to meetings, and while she was in there, she wasn't drinking any alcohol or things like that, and everything. She had her apartment, her mother was helping her out with that. She still had a broken hip, so she wasn't working at her job, but she had things paid for, things set. She had a plan, and it still didn't work because people struggle with addiction all the time. It's not easy. And it's very clear when Shannon easily just says, well, she couldn't have been here because she typed this. You know what I mean? Because she typed that. So yeah, I believe I agree with SWOOP, and I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One single right path for anyone. Sobriety is great, but that's not technically the end all be all goal. You can be sober and not be taking any illicit substances, but still have an addict lifestyle and still do things that hurt you and harm you. The goal is balance and finding a place where you can be settled without always trying to fill a void. I've been sober for years now, and there are days when I think about it, and there are days when I feel weak. But because I've found balance, I have other avenues to lean on. And that to me is the ultimate goal. And it's okay if it takes you time to find that balance.
I think that's an incredibly important statement. And I just want to say that I'm sorry that you have gone through that. And thank you for letting me ask you about that. Another thing that Creepshow focused heavily on in her video was about Emily's words and actions as a child. So she showed countless posts that Emily made when she was in middle school, high school, and beyond, in essence putting a child on trial, so to speak. Throughout the 2.5-hour video, she dug up a lot of screenshots of things that you were saying when you were basically a child. You were 7th grade, 8th grade, 13 years old. She had said this: Emily has an extremely long pattern of obsessive behavior over people she's romantically attracted to, and a very long pattern of calling people who she has been attracted to abusive after the fact. Now, first of all, it's clear that you were a literal child for most of these posts, and I think hopefully most people understand that a child's brain is not fully developed, and I think that happens around age 25. Do you feel like you were dealing with, as a child, any mental health challenges?
Yes, absolutely. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder with obsessive compulsive tendencies when I was 9 or 10, somewhere in there.
Now, just to add some clarity for those who might not know what bipolar disorder is, here is a brief definition. Bipolar disorder, formerly called manic depression, is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs, mania or hypomania, and lows or depression.
My parents took me in to see this doctor who I believe did me so wrong. And immediately, we were there all the time. I went through so many different evaluations, and I was immediately diagnosed with this. Initially, within 2 or 3 weeks, I was on tons of different medications. I was immediately put on Abilify, as well as lithium, and then I believe it was like trazodone or some sort of sleeping aid. Abilify, as I've come to learn as I've gotten older, has seen many class action lawsuits. The FDA even put out a warning saying that Abilify can cause gambling addiction, sex addiction, obsessive compulsive tendencies. My parents were freaked out.
As of the start of 2019, there were in excess of 2,100 lawsuits filed in federal court against the manufacturers of Abilify, where the makers have been accused of negligently designing Abilify and hiding evidence that the drug increases the risk of addictive
that is
behavior.
so wrong.
Patients
I did
can't
not
stop
know
performing these
that.
actions even though they desperately want to stop, and the actions are causing harm. And that's some scary shit. Like, it's very real.
That's
And as one
scary.
can imagine, a 9-year-old child could be at even greater risk to those side effects.
You know, my brain was chaos. It was very difficult. Again, hormonal child brain already chaos. I truly believe that Abilify and being given Abilify, I think it just kind of messed me up a lot.
Like, that's definitely awful. That's awful that
Yeah.
that happened. I just feel in general that this is uncomfortable to hear about. I don't like. She should never have to prove, what drug she was using during that time. Like, she shouldn't have to,
even talk about this.
Right. It feels so weird. What someone takes, what a patient, what someone is taking for their mental health illness or whatever, it's their business. Not ours. And it's sad that she's sitting. I mean, I get that this is an interview, but it's just that it came to this, that she's explaining what she took. It's just, yeah. It makes me feel weird listening. Like, I'm not supposed to know this much about what they're taking.
Yeah, it's intimate.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's so weird to me.
And I'm not saying that people who are in
I was
Abilify
reading
now,
the
like,
comments. HA, I watched 2 of her videos and asked YouTube to stop recommending them because she came off really mean-spirited. Yeah, I had known about Creepshow Art before all of this. I knew that she was doing commentary, and I subscribed because I don't know. I just if I see that you're a commentary channel and your videos are like half an hour long, I automatically subscribe to you. So I get hint, wink, wink to anybody listening. That's a long form video commentary channel. Just leave a comment, and I hope you know that I'll automatically subscribe to you. But then after listening to some of her stuff, she was just so like, I was like, I'm here for roasting, but like, this is too much. Like, too much. Like, because she was really going in on. Granted, these are like not cool people, but just some of the, I don't know. When somebody just goes too far unneededly. So I was like, and I watched like one more video, and I'm like, this is just how she does.
I haven't listened to her content long enough to really distinguish between the annoying things. Yeah, I haven't listened because my first time hearing about her is when the drama channels, commentary channels started talking about it.
Yeah, and some of the messed up logic that she used in her dumb video against Emily, she uses some of that messed up logic in her regular videos too. And people just kind of let it slide because she's talking about somebody who's like generally disliked. So people will let it slide. But I don't know, for me, I need you to be a reasonable person and logically sound, or at least, I understand your point of view, and she didn't do that. So I also had to unsubscribe from her.
Me, the only thing I was really analyzing when I first heard about Creepshow Art were her thumbnails. And it's actually really telling once you her thumbnails are extremely, because I said I'm not watching this shit, but I looked at her thumbnails and it's really telling when you listen to who she is, who Emily Artful, all these horrible things about her, because it's interesting that she picks these cases like 9-year-old married. She picks these just severe cases, cases that are worse than her. worse than what she's done. Because,
Yes.
you know, and that's what I got from her thumbnails and her videos that she does. I kept saying, why am I seeing 12-year-old married to this dude? Why am I seeing this? And I said, oh, okay, this makes sense. She needs to be talking about other people worse than her so she can make herself feel better about the shit that she's been doing to Emily Arful for years.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. That's what I caught too.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what they said. Yes, Modest Hermit also used to be a subscriber, and then also felt she was so mean-spirited for no apparent reason. Yeah. And when all the lolcow stuff came out, that's 100% what I felt like. Okay, that explains why she's always talking about like the worst people, because she gets to talk like a bitch. She gets to be very mean about these people, and she'll know that she can get away with it because she's talking about people that everybody doesn't like.
You know, she reminds me of Dexter.
Who's that?
So the show, the forensics dude that's a serial killer. So she reminds me of Dexter because he's a forensic dude that's a serial killer, but he only kills people that are actually bad. So she and have a similarity. She's not killing anyone, hopefully, fingers crossed. But what I'm saying is that she reminds me of Dexter because he wanted to kill, like Emily, that like Shannon wanted to talk shit and be mean, but the only way she can do it in public, the only way that Dexter could kill is if it was, you know, people that were worthy of being shit on or talked about.
So
you know what I mean?
Get away with it. You won't feel bad about it. It reminds me of like in the eating disorder world, whenever we get a patient who says that they're vegan, very side eye. And honestly, it's like some of the vegans and like in the YouTube vegan community, specifically on YouTube, I'm not talking about this out in everyday life, but specifically on YouTube, some of these vegans I severely side eye because sometimes they use it as like they want to enact a restrictive way of eating, an anorexic way of eating, but they want to be left alone about it. They don't want people to bother them about it. So if they just say, well, I'm actually vegan, then that's how they can, you know, scratch that itch of restricting themselves and do it in a way that people will praise them and applaud them, and nobody's going to harass them about it or ask them, are you okay? And so, I mean, I'm not saying that that's as bad as all of this, but that's also what it reminds me of. There's something in you that you know is not good, but you want a way to do it with and be praised for it or not feel bad about it.
Like Dexter. Like Dexter. He wanted to kill and he didn't feel bad about it because he was killing people who are basically killers and bad people.
Yeah.
Thing bad. I'm not saying that, but for me, it completely screwed me up. When I got the psych meds that I really needed and the help that I really needed, my life almost immediately just went right on track. And Shannon even shows screenshots. Like, look at all these random diagnoses she gets and then kind of twist things. And Emily said she had, you know, borderline personality disorder. I never said that. I used to abbreviate bipolar as BPD. There's a common mistake. It happens all the time.
She stated in her now deleted video about how she dated a sociopath that she was misdiagnosed as bipolar when she was 9. On Facebook in 2009, before dating Anthony, she spoke about how she had been prescribed lithium at a certain point.
Y'all, I'm sorry, we gotta do it, okay? Class is in session. Shannon. Listen, Shannon, bring it in real quick. You know what? Actually, no, that this applies to anyone weaponizing a child's mental health against them. So bring it in, just a little. Okay, yes. That's close enough. I don't know if you've heard the latest gossip about Emily's mental health, but I've got the piping hot tea, bitch. It's steaming. Are you ready? It's none of your fucking business.
For real.
It's none of my business.
Shannon highlighted all of the like obsessiveness, but she never highlighted he asked me to stop, so I stopped. She never highlighted okay, well, I can't do, fine. Then if he doesn't want me, then I guess I'll move on. And not only that, but just because I was hurt and I'm saying this person hurt me, I hate this person, I'm mad at this person, they broke my heart, that does not equal a formal accusation of abuse. that's another thing that was just really misrepresented.
When you see some of the posts that you were making when you were a child, looking back on it now, do you feel like any of it was maybe a cry for help of any sort?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it was the, early 2000s. Mental health still there's so much, stigmatized about it at that time. And like you said, it is a journey. So it can be a horrible, hard journey for some people. I did not have the right support on my journey. My parents loved me. They wanted to do whatever they could to help me. They just didn't know how. But I was screaming for help. I was my mind was chaos all the time.
You can
And
tell,
I didn't
girl,
know how to make it quiet.
them posts.
And
You
I
can
latched
tell.
on to older men. I latched on to an older woman. I latched on to people that I felt safe and stable around, and I clung to them. And even though I loved my parents and respected them, I clung to people who made me feel good and used them like a drug, like to fill the void, to quiet my head.
I just gotta take another moment. I don't know if you understand the full extent of how powerful your words are right now. If no one has told you, I will be DMing you every 3 to 5 business days. Okay, I'll be messaging you and being like, you're dope, you're awesome, thank you for sharing. And I don't know if I can, this sounds weird. I'm gonna say I'm proud of you, and that's a weird thing to say.
No.
I just think it's wonderful that you have arrived at the place that you are in your current journey here. And I just want to make sure that you understand that there's a strength that a lot of people are going to look up to you in that regard. I know that you have shared about multiple instances of abuse with a few people. As someone who has survived so much, has that affected how you approach people now in life?
Yes. I am very wary of meeting new people. I'm very wary of who I let into my life. I'm very wary about any information I give about my life now, my existence now, where I am, my family. When you're using drugs, you're vulnerable. What Shannon, I think, fails to realize is vulnerable people attract people who like to take advantage of vulnerability.
Oh, yes.
And half of her list of all the people that I accused of abuse, I didn't even accuse of abuse.
This is another video in which she accuses a past ex of abusing her, making this the 8th person she has accused of abuse in videos that I have cited.
I gotta take a quick second, because Shannon had posted this long list of names claiming that Emily accused them all of abuse. And Emily addressed this in her response video with just the perfect touch of pettiness.
This does not equal a formal accusation of abuse. So Shannon, let me fix your little infographic really quickly. There, that's better.
I saw Bryce on the list.
Emily,
I just realized that I saw Bryce on the list. She never said Bryce abused her. She said that Bryce said a verbal threat over the phone. The Creepshow Art is so dumb. I'm sorry, girl.
She's not dumb. She thinks she's smart.
She really does. She really thinks she's smart.
She thinks she's
smart. She thought she's smart. I just realized she really put Bryce on there because she said Bryce made a verbal threat. Okay, you can push.
Degree doctorate at Petty University. Okay, I will mail you a diploma. Okay, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't resist. But back to it.
She doesn't realize. I mean, such a large chunk of my life, I was with someone who wasn't good for me. Whether they emotionally abused me, physically, sexually, there's a spectrum of abuse.
Emily said something incredibly important here, and I want to take a moment to underscore it. What she calls the spectrum of abuse. Now, there's this idea that abuse can only look a couple of ways, meaning physical or emotional. And within those two categories, people often think that physical abuse is only abuse if it reaches a certain level of violence, and emotional has to be particularly aggressive, very gaslighting. But there's so much more to it. In a broad sense, there are upwards of 10 types of abuse, and this list is not the final say by any means, but here are some of those types: physical abuse, DV, SA, psychological or emotional, financial or material, modern slavery, discriminatory, organizational or institutional, neglect, and self-neglect. And within these categories, there are a myriad of types of behavior that can be considered abuse that a victim might not actually realize. And again, this list is not exhaustive. If you believe that you are being harmed, but it's not on the list, just trust your gut and please talk to somebody. But here are some physical examples. Assault, hitting, slapping, punching, kicking, hair pulling, biting, pushing, rough handling, scalding and burning, inappropriate or use of restraint, making someone purposefully uncomfortable, like opening a window and removing blankets. I mean, the list literally just goes on and on. And some examples of psychological or emotional abuse can be enforced social isolation, preventing someone accessing services, educational and social opportunities, and seeing friends, failure to respect privacy, use of threats, humiliation, bullying. Like, if you think that's bad, then like, whew, just strap in, honey, because it gets worse. According to studies done, in almost 20% of all marriages and intimate partnerships, couples slap, shove, hit, or otherwise assault each other. Emotional abuse, verbal threats, humiliating or degrading remarks, and controlling behavior is even more common. And that's only accounting for the abuse that is reported, and it's far more likely to go unreported, often due to fear, but also for the simple fact that many people might not equate what they've been living through as abuse because they don't think it's violent enough to count.
That's why it flies under the radar so much, because people think, oh, well, he just makes me feel like crap every day of my life, but he didn't hit me. I'm not really abused. Or he threw this at me, but it didn't hit me, so I'm not There's a spectrum of abuse. And when you are vulnerable, when you are using drugs, people who love that power, who want to hold something over you, who want to feel powerful and strong, and they have no other place to get it, that's how they get it. They prey on people who are vulnerable. They prey on the people who are going to say yes or be too afraid to say no. And I was that person.
These stories, really these situations that I was in, have haunted my nightmares. I felt guilt, pain, shame, embarrassment, and intense anxiety over them. I felt like I was keeping a secret, like I needed to be shamed for what had happened to me.
I was afraid. I am the, going to Starbucks, ordering my drink, and I misspeak and I say sorry 5 times. I'm learning not to be that person anymore, but I am still absolutely I say sorry all the time, and I always go, why? You didn't even, you're in the supermarket, you walk around someone where there's plenty of space and you go, sorry, like I'm still that person. I'm that, keep my head down, I apologize, and I'm trying not to be that person. I'm taking steps to not be that person anymore. But that's just how it's changed me. There are aspects of me that I think seem strong, but there's so much of me that still feels small.
I feel bad for her. Like, I feel bad. Like, that's gotta suck, apologize. Feeling like small, feeling insecure, saying sorry when you don't need to. It's not your fault. And it, like, her saying this, I hate to say this, but her saying this makes me wonder what Shannon does in real life. What is her personality like in real life? When she goes to the store, is she more apologetic than ever? Or she's like, move, get out of my way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder who she really is if you just saw her like a Jane Doe at ShopRite, Like, I wonder, I just...
Yeah.
The real her.
Yeah.
And scared and guarded.
Okay, let me just make one thing clear, and then I will move on. Abuse is abuse. No matter how it happens, no matter how severe you might think it is or isn't, it doesn't matter. If someone is harming you physically, mentally, or otherwise as a means of controlling you or intimidating you, holding power over you, or forcing you to do something that doesn't feel right, it is abuse, and it's not your fault. You do not have to have bruises or a mental breakdown or depression or fear for what you've endured to be valid. And sometimes it takes us years to process, if you ever even do, and that's okay. Now, most of you know a bit of my story and I won't dwell on it, but I have survived multiple assaults physically, sexually, and emotionally, and some were incredibly violent, and some of it was psychological, narcissistic abuse, like the real kind, not the shit that people are just throwing around every 3 to 5 business days is like this new trendy word, everything is narcissistic abuse. No, we should go easy on how often we say that. And it took me years to get to this place where I can even process and say out loud that it happened. There's no timeline on this, and there is no shame in what you've gone through. And I want you to remember, burn it in your brain if you have to, that I believe you. Period. And I hope that one day in your own time, because that is all that matters, that you reach out to someone that you trust or a support resource and tell your story, because it doesn't have to be your burden to carry. And if you've survived abuse multiple times or from multiple people, and the creep shows of the world try to make you think that you couldn't possibly have been abused more than once, or you must be exaggerating, you know what? Just let Ani Swoop know, okay? Because I'm in the mood to punch some balls, okay? Ah! I said what I said. I got your back.
I want to be done with you. I've come forward. I've said what I need to say. That's all that matters to me now.
So after digging into all of this, after all the research, the videos, the tweets, like all of it, there was one thing that I really wanted to know. What do you think has been the most shocking realization to you through this whole thing?
This last video shocked me because I just don't know how that video was just so angry. And there was not a shred, not a modicum of human empathy or sympathy in that at all. That shocked me because I think in order to have had the relationship she had, she would have to have these emotions. But in that video, there was not a shred of it. When I was expecting there to at least.
Didn't she remind you of like a sociopath in that video?
Yeah.
Sociopath? Is it wait. Socio.
Yeah, you can say so. Yeah, sociopath.
Sociopath. Anyway, she reminded me of someone that doesn't have any Yes, that's what it's been all along. Because I've been trying to put like a thing on it to why she scares me so much, and this is why she scares me. I couldn't figure out for the longest why she scares me so much. It's because I feel like she doesn't have any emotion. That's what I feel like. I mean, I don't know her. This is all, guys. It's just my opinion. But I've been trying for the longest. Like, that's why even I felt like the scary music. So for those of you who don't know, I have another channel called An Honest Conversation. And I made like a video on Creepshow Art. And I used a scary music. And it's because of that reason. Because I feel like she probably has feelings because of Anthony, right?
What do you mean?
Do you think like she likes Anthony? Like she's in love with Anthony? I don't know. Either way, I just felt like
I have no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. But I just think that she has no feelings. I don't know. Like, I know when I'm asking you, I know you don't know, obviously. But I'm just like I don't know if she has no emotions. I'm just talking. You know, like I don't know if she actually has feelings or not, but
I know that she can feel for herself, feel slighted and embarrassed herself, but
yeah, I just wonder.
That's all that I know. Because everything else, every other type of emotion that she's shown online has been performative.
Right.
So we don't know.
That's what scares me because it's been performative. It's like, do you have an emotion? What is the real? And if it is, what is the real one other than anger?
Retaliating on people coming for you or whatever.
Be something, even if it was to save her own ass. Of course, I'm hurt that Shannon stalked me and harassed me and sided with Anthony, my abuser. I'm angry at her. I'm frustrated with her, but I have this empathy for her. I realize that I'm sure in a way she is absolutely a victim as well of being manipulated, of being, we have people who come forward who know them, who said, I tried to tell her he's abusive. I still feel, part of me feels sad for her. I'm angry at her, but I'm sad for her. And I realize, as do many people, that she is in a way a victim. But all I heard was just so much anger and bitterness and hatred. The way she went after Tipster.
Tipster said that if I was able to prove that I didn't do what I'm being accused of, that he would apologize to me. And to that, I say, you disgusting person.
Tipster and I have gotten along and then not gotten along and then gotten along. I think Tipster's a good person. I think he's a good person. And I think he's caught a lot of unnecessary flack from Shannon and then from people who support me. I mean, she just went off on him and was so mean, and I don't know. I don't think any part of me was holding out a hope for like an apology or anything, because that could implicate her. I think I was holding out hope that not for an apology, but just some shred of kindness and understanding, something.
To be honest, like even your answer there, I think is probably going to surprise some people. There's a level of empathy in the way you're even responding to that question. That's been one of the overriding takeaways I've had after doing all this research, that time and again, through everything that Emily has been through, allegedly and otherwise, she still reserves some empathy for Shannon, which I think is commendable. I'm sure there are many people online who don't think Shannon deserves that, but at the end of the day, that's up to Emily, which takes us to perhaps the most important and most difficult question that I had for Emily, and that is about forgiveness. with everything that you've been through, all of the allegations, do you see forgiveness happening at any point?
I think I've already forgiven her, even before.
wow.
I will never have, not even for Anthony is nothing. No forgiveness. He gets nothing. Nothing. I realize that Shannon is a victim in some way. I'll never forget this, but I can't hold on to hatred and anger and frustration, and I just don't have it in me. I don't know if that's just because, you know, I'm not capable of it or because I'm just exhausted. I just don't want to waste any more time being angry and being hurt when there's so much in my life that I need to be grateful for and put that energy to being grateful for. I've already forgiven her.
Do you think that as far as online goes with Shannon, do you think there is the possibility of redemption for her?
She could try. I don't think in the next 10 years that that's going to happen. Do I think it's impossible? No. One of the arguments in the letter, the cease and desist, was, you know, the long-term memory of the internet. It's not that long-term. Do I think anytime recently she could come back like nothing had happened and start up her career and have as much success? No. Do I think she still has supporters? Yes. Do I think she could do that and then hope to God that eventually, you know, the algorithm will shuffle around enough that they'll hit people who have no idea what happened? Yes. Let's just say I don't think redemption is unheard of, never going to happen.
Do you guys think that Shannon can come back? If Shannon was like, look, there's only two ways I can see Shannon coming back. I've thought about this a lot. The first way is if she came out and blamed absolutely every single thing on Anthony, put on the tears, everything, it was believable. I believe it. I believe that could be a thing because she's going to hit people who are, because if she is a victim, then there are going to be people who can definitely relate to her situation. Two, I think another way is if she came back, she would have to do something like Kendall Ray, but in a way that's like interviewing people who have done wrong. You know, people like who are worse than her, who have done wrong. And then she relates to how she fucked up and something to where it's a positive outlook at the end of the video for a series or something. I feel like those are the only two ways she, oh no. And then the third one is she comes back as a different voice. And no one knows who the hell she is. So, so that, yeah, 3 ways. Yeah. I do. I think, let's see. The chat says, Paragon says, maybe. Cake Pop says she might try again. Yeah.
I think she'll try again, but I think she is who she is. I don't think she'll change. Modest says, I just think she's not motivated enough to make a comeback given how lazy her old content was. Maybe the hit in the pocketbook might be the only reason she'll return. People keep saying she'll return with the TikTok voice.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think she's gonna I've been saying that. I thought there was a YouTuber out here in these streets who was actually her. I thought there was, but I had 0 proofs. It's like, obviously, shut up. But yeah, she could come back with the TikTok voice if she hasn't already. I wouldn't put it past Shannon to sit there and have a few accounts, ASMR, fireplace account. I wouldn't put it past her to have something. Like, I just wouldn't put it past her. So I think she already got another channel we don't know about. Few.
I just think the internet needs time to heal. There's this part of the internet because it's a gaping wound right now.
Emily says it all right there. Like, whether it be forgiveness or redemption, I think perhaps the most surprising yet consistent element of this whole story is Emily. Not just in her willingness to tell her story and take accountability for her own problematic past behavior, but to be open to the idea of forgiveness and moving on. With that, putting all of them aside, what is next for you? Like, where do you go from here?
I just want to go back to, posting, going to Target and buying the cheapest art supplies that I could find to show people what the best art supplies are that are cheap. And I'm working on a children's book that I have held so near and dear to my heart. And I feel like the manuscript's getting close. I just want to go back to doing that, selling my artwork, being.
Oh, I could see her making a children's book with her own illustrations.
Mm.
I could see that.
Who, Emily?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could see her making her own children's book with her own illustrations. And, you know, she's a mom. I could totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
With my kids, my beautiful, beautiful babies, my husband, my mom, my dad. They deserve to have the best version of me that I can put out, because they've done everything for me. And I'm so grateful to have them. I wouldn't be in the place that I am right now without them.
Mm.
And they deserve the best version of me that I can give them. So, and that's just honestly the best version of me, is making stupid YouTube videos and being the goofy mom on the block, and because Lord knows I am, and you know, being there for my viewers who've also been everything to me. So that's why I have to release the hurt and the anger, because I can't be the best version of myself with that inside.
I think, you know, again, as an outsider, your hope that you're giving your family the best of you, I think that you are achieving that. I hope that they are incredibly proud of you. I'm sure that they are, and I hope that you have the support that you need. And I think coming forward like this with your story is something that, if ever your children see it, I think that they will be incredibly proud of your strength and your vulnerability. I'm excited to see the children's book whenever that comes to fruition. Continue to trust your instincts and trust your heart. And I hope that you are able to find some healing through this.
Thank you so much.
You're a cool human. You're doing a good job.
The next time I go to say sorry for walking around someone not even touching them in the grocery store, I'm going to go, hold on, wait.
Wait a second. I meant cool child. Okay, I didn't know if I was going to do this, but I think we could all use a kitty palette cleanser. And Mr. Pork Chop.
Want to
say hi, Pork Chop? Say hi.
AKA, you want me to stop the video?
It's finished.
Yeah.
Is it finished? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jessica says, you could see on Emily's face, it's taking so much to not harbor that anger and bad feelings. She is so incredible. Paragon Kel says, very emotional at the near ending. Yeah, it was. Like, it was. You could really, what you can really tell from this is that Emily Artful, she goes to therapy, and it actually helps her out. You know, you could tell.
You can tell she goes to therapy.
The way how she is, you know, she was able to really analyze why she did the things that she did and learning from them, what to do in the future if these problems occur again. You could really tell she went to therapy.
Yeah. Good job, Emily.
I know. Like, how do I feel about Shannon? I think Shannon needs therapy as well. So those are my thoughts with Shannon and Anthony. They both need therapy and help.
Yeah.
But that was a good interview. I loved it. It gave us more of an insight of how Emily was dealing with these things when they were happening at the time. I feel like it gave us more of an insight, and we never really knew, like, did Emily forgive Shannon? And she said she has already forgiven her, you know, good for her. If that is the case, good for her. If she's already forgiven her. And it's very understandable why she's like, fuck Anthony, you know, completely understandable. So, and she's still, and it's also important that to take away from this is that Emily believes that Shannon is a victim, you know? She does believe that. And I like to point.
She knows Anthony better than any of us. So, I mean, that's something that people have been wondering. If Emily says it, I mean, I believe that too.
Yeah, well, I definitely believe it. Now it makes more sense if it's like, why wouldn't I believe it? You know, because Emily could be like, you know, Shannon, she's a liar, she's not a victim, but she truly believes that she is. So, because the favor, it would have worked more for her favor to just she didn't have to say that. So,
Yeah, I mean, for me, what solidified that to me was when she made a video saying, you know, I'm only addressing these accusations that are illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brings up her husband's essay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When I saw that, I was like, this was supposed to be about you.
Mm.
And you're using this as an opportunity to talk about, your husband. I just feel that way, that he's probably manipulating her, whatever.
Yeah. I do think that she is responsible for her actions, but I do think that he probably. I believe if Emily believes it, then I believe it. As far as Anthony, because like you said, she would know him more than any of us would.
Yeah.
So there's that. But Cake Pops says Shannon acts like a brat and blames everyone. Emily takes accountability and is mature. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are facts. But yeah. I feel like this is a good closure for Creepshow Art unless Shannon comes out with something else.
Yeah. Absentee voter. I hope there's nothing but peace and love for Emily and her family from here on out. Same. I think it will be. I can't imagine what Shannon can come up with as a rebuttal. I can't think of anything that she'll bring up that hasn't been addressed.
Yeah.
So what is she gonna? I wonder how is she gonna spend her days now? Now that there's no more harassing Emily or whatever, threatening Emily, whatever she used to do. How's she gonna spend her time now?
Privately. I would say privately making up another account, befriending someone anonymously, and after friending them anonymously, also stalking them as well.
I guess she could talk about all the other people. She could talk about tipsters, genitals. She can talk about. She keeps talking about it. Apparently, she could talk about who. There were these commentary channels that she was saying owes her money.
Skits.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody. There's people that supposedly owe her money, but not really.
But that person explained themselves. I forgot exactly what they said.
Yeah, right. Like, I think she didn't actually ever send money. She just said, I will, but she never did. Girl, it seems like she has a whole lot of beef. Like, she has a whole lot of imaginary beef. So maybe that is what's going to occupy her time for now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell. But yeah, those are my final thoughts about this whole entire video. I thought SWOOP did an amazing job with this interview. It was definitely, I mean, I feel like we knew a lot of the stuff, but we just learned more about Emily and how she dealt with these situations. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I'm ready to I'm actually pretty tired tonight. I'm really tired. I've had a really long day. I'm tired. Yeah.
Me too. I'm tired.
I know.
And I drank a coffee too. I drank a coffee when I saw SWOOP posted. I was like, okay, let me get us some coffee so I can have energy. And I guess it didn't work. I don't know why.
I mean, I was full of energy today. I went to the mall. I did a lot of shopping today. It was so much fun. And yeah, now I'm here. And yeah, and I was looking forward to seeing SWOOP's video too. So
yeah, me too.
There's that. Oh, let me see if it's still gonna snow on Sunday. I hope it doesn't still snow on Sunday because I mean I'm not going anywhere, right? But still. Oh yeah, it's not. It's not good. I just don't feel like another snow day. I'm done for this winter. I'm done.
It was 75 degrees here in Texas.
Well, I believe it because it was like 40 degrees. It was 40 degrees here. So
wow, damn.
And that's nice for New York out here.
Really?
So, I mean, I didn't have to wear a coat today, which was nice. But yeah. Oh, Cake Pop said, love you girls. Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
But make sure the 36 people who are watching this, can you please like this video if you liked it? Definitely subscribe if you like us.
If you want to be part of that 5%.
I know. Trust me, that 5%, it is big enough for all of you because it's a lot.
Yeah, that 5%. It's actually a lot. Like, just look at
Uh-huh.
all the numbers, you know, and
Mhm.
take 5%. It's actually a lot when you take that 5%. And it's only people who are part of that 5% that can participate in the chat. So,
Mhm.
you know, just
Okay, well,
information.
actually, we will start turning on subscriber only. I did not do that today because I forgot.
Oh,
I
you have to
forgot.
do it every time? Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, you have to do it every time, I think. Yeah.
Oh. Well, you guys got lucky to that 100% was able to chat today, but next time
It's only gonna
it
be
will
that
only be
5%.
that 5%. That
Yeah.
5%. People fight hard for that
Mhm.
5%, just so you
Mhm.
know.
I
So you want to
know.
be a part of it.
If you haven't heard, there's been videos about this 5%.
There's videos
Just
about it.
Google
People
it.
fight for it. People are willing to just quit their jobs because they didn't get that 5%.
I know, and you guys
It's a big deal.
But yeah, guys, thank you
People
guys
walk
for
off the
watching.
set for that 5%. Listen. Don't play with that 5%.
People be making sagas, videos.
They do.
Feature films about that 5%.
They make films. Daily films.
Yeah.
For that 5%.
Oh, thank you, Paragon, for subbing.
Oh, thank you, Paragon. Welcome.
Thank you,
5%er.
Modest, for subbing. Good night, Jessica. Well, good night, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And we will see you soon on the next live. Bye, guys. Bye.